Welcome to Sisterpreneurs Talk, a podcast where real entrepreneurs share their raw, unfiltered journeys exactly as they are. My name is Jennifer.
And my name is Bianca. And today with us, we have Marion Fogli, founder of Alpian Bank, the first fully digital bank in Switzerland, co-founder of SheWealth, a platform where we financially literature the women, and Finance Made Human, another platform where we teach finance in human ways. Thank you for being with us today.
With my pleasure.
So, Marion, you founded a bank. Just like this statement alone is, to me, absolutely crazy. On top of it, you had 3 children home. I'm pretty sure the journey to get there was not easy and was long. But I think in some way it actually started here at this very campus where you used to be a student at EHL, where we are today. So I would love to start there. I would love to ask you, who's Marion Fogli, and how did you get from being a student here at EHL to founding the first digital private bank in Switzerland?
Okay, so you have plenty of questions in one. First thing I would like to say, I'm a co-founder. Yes. I didn't found it alone. And I think you have the biggest strength when you have few people working with you and you're able to do it as a team, okay? I don't think you work another way around. Who am I? So I can probably share with you my CV. You will see it, EHL, Executive MBA, certification, MIT, Cambridge. That's not very interesting. I'm just going to share with you a story that was a trigger point in my life. It was back in 2015. I was working in wealth management, and I remember being seated with a team I loved to work with. Wealth management, you have fantastic seatings, the furniture is amazing, you have art on walls, and I mean, the surrounding is really like very creative and very wealthy. And we were discussing, I was working on a digital transformation. I was working for the consolidation of portfolio. So we had clients, ultra high net worth and high net worth clients. It means people that are very wealthy. And they had their bank account in different banks that the wealth management company was managing. And the relationship manager were taking time to do the consolidation. So, put in one document everything they had. And I was like, but you're spending like 3 weeks to prepare this document. They arrive during the meeting and then off they go. But you spent 3 weeks working on this. Why don't we, get the feed of the banks, get the data, and then you press a button, you put the date from when to when, you press a button and you get your full consolidation of their portfolio. Easy to say, it took me 3 years, but I had to have a lot of discussion with them. So I was with my coffee discussing, and I remember looking at all the portfolio, everything, and I saw something that they were not seeing the same way I did. I was seeing behind like a portfolio, a person. I was seeing behind an allocation, an emotion, and I was seeing behind a decision, a story. And this is where I'm matching it, and we'll come back to all the questions, but this is where it comes to EHL. EHL has something very particular, is that here in this school, okay, you learn how to analyze, like in all schools, but I was at the same time able to observe, because you're able to read a lot of things, you're able to read a human being at the same time. And for me, it was not only figures. So I started to explain this, and I started to tell them, okay, so maybe we could do it this way. We can organize for the digitalization this way and so on. And I had in front of me a woman that I had admired very, very much, loved working with. And she said to me, we have always done it this way, and it works just fine. That sentence has changed my life, because I was in front of her and I was like, I see something that this industry doesn't see. Say, why do you see a number behind this document and why you don't see the person? Of course, they see them when they are in front of them. But while I was trying to do that consolidation, I see life. I see dreams. I see fears. So that's how everything started. So I would say that probably it will define me, because it's kind of bringing the mission I am into. And I would say that story actually made me. So that's the first thing. And EHL is definitely what has pushed me to see these human beings behind the figures.
This is also how innovation happens, no? It disrupts when someone tells you, this worked just fine. But innovating something is actually disrupting the status quo. It can be painful.
It is. And at the same time, you're like, oh, wow, actually, the break is not going to be that person. It's everything around it. I was, okay, the whole industry is not seeing this. So I understood what digital transformation really means. Like, it hits hard because, I mean, implementing things, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it has a lot of preparation and you can implement and execute them fast. But then changing the mind of someone, the mindset, that was the toughest part. And
always the toughest part.
Exactly.
So how did you push? How did you basically come from this moment of seeing, okay, this is not working and I see it differently, to then, I don't know how many years later, that's a question too, to a moment where there was okay, we're going and we're founding a bank?
So at that time, I told them, we need to create a bank that see that. They look at me completely nuts. So what do you mean? And I say, no, but we could do this. And so it was in 2015. And then we started co-creating Alpian in 2019. Alpian was actually...
So 4 years it took you to convince people to go for this with...
4 years. And it's not exactly how it worked. Actually, we were incubated by Rail. So at the beginning, Alpian... a digital private bank was the idea of François Rail. And he was visionary. He was the owner of Rail, a private bank, I would say traditional in the way of functioning. And he saw the possibility of doing it. And then it's a matter of network. It's a matter of different elements. I was part of the project, but that started this way. But I wanted to be part of creating a bank.
And then how did you meet your co-founders?
In the project, it's people that were matching us, actually. We didn't know each other before. 3 of them has done IMD, and we never met at IMD.
Okay.
Funny,
yeah.
And
they believed in this from the very beginning, or did you have to push a bit?
No. The 4 co-founders, they believe like crazy.
Okay, good. So you had a solid base around you.
Yeah, sure.
One of the things which I find really fascinating about your story, and it's also connected with mindset, I think, is that your education is not in finance. It's here at EHL, but then you founded basically already 3 very deep finance initiatives, right? Alpian Bank, Finance Made Human, and SheWealth. So my question is, can we entrepreneurs look at it from a perspective with the right mindset, everything can be done, or is this foolish?
What is different from other schools, I would say, and it's what I said a little bit before, is we learn to analyze and we learn to observe. And actually we learn it as one thing together. It's not separated all the time in everything we do. So we will see things that people don't see. We are able to see, sometimes like, how did you know this person was cold? Because I saw the sign. How did you know this person wanted to have a tea? Because I know blah, blah, blah. These type of things, it looks simple, but then after you can bring this to finance and then you put it together. So each time I'm doing something, I'm bringing my license of analyze and observe, and I'm being able to read, as all the EHL people here, someone that is ringing at the door at the same time as I can read a balance sheet very well.
Yeah, I like this concept that you mentioned of the data points. So you're actually meeting your customer the whole time. And this is the whole idea of a digital bank as well. Like you're directly, constantly in contact with your customer. Can you tell us a bit more about Alpian Bank journey?
So as a story, so we created, in fact, the company in October 2019. Then we worked since day one on putting the client at the center. Then after, we put around it all the compliance part, because for us, we understood very fast that compliance is key. And then after putting the compliance around it, we put it the business model and not the opposite. So it allowed us to prepare a very strong file to get our FINMA license. Since day one, we knew it was key. So in October, I would say April 2022, we obtained our FINMA license.
So 1 year and a half later.
We started the company into 2019, so 3 years. It's long.
Thankfully, I have a degree in mathematics.
So, you had a lot of preparation. I'm not going to say everything went linear. That's not true. It's never linear. You get to see the nice milestones that I just mentioned. But in between, we fell 1,000 times and we stood up 1,000 times plus one, a little bit of bruise, a bit everywhere. Let's be honest, because you only see the success part from the outside. As you said, one of you, you see on the LinkedIn, the reality is not romantic.
We want to know more about this.
Yes.
What about Finance Made Human? This is your new project. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
So, in fact, I want, how do we reconcile people with money? And I explain you something. There are two things I see. So one fold is about your life, your stories, your story, your dreams, your fears, what keeps you up at night. That's you. Then on another side, you have your wealth. And I see product, allocations, and I could continue the list. And it seems that when I'm presenting these two things different, they're completely separated. You have one side and the other side. There is nothing in between. And that's exactly what Finance Made Human is doing.
The conjunction.
The conjunction. So what I do, I have several things that I'm working on. For instance, I have a YouTube that I very recently started where I explain the concept. Okay? It's called, everything is called Finance Made Human. I explain all the concept. Finance that we are being taught at school is very different from your personal finances. There is no school that is actually explaining you this. I just discussed about budget. Nobody knows how much you have to put. It looks very simple what I'm saying, but you don't know how much you have to put when you receive your salary. Normally, what is the range? How many in percentage you should put in the basis, how much you should put in your savings, how much you should put in your life, because you want to live as well. And these are not being taught. And then after, you have another level of wording that you don't get, and you get lost. So I want to explain the concept. I want to explain why they are there and why they are protecting you sometimes. Why? So risk profile has a legal link. You have to explain it, what it is, why bank has it, and so on. Because banks comes to you, they explain it to you in 3 minutes, you didn't get anything, and you don't get the point. They're actually protecting you. But you need to have the time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, to explain what it is, and so on. So that's the first one. Second part is about my Substack newsletter, and it's about the behavior that we have with money. And I come to the realization that most of the time, our behavior linked to money is not money problems. They are rarely linked to money problems. I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday,
I love it. Subscribe.
So I give you an example. So yesterday I published a newsletter, and it's about a behavior where we have all participated into it.
The dinner. I loved it. I was like consumed in this thing. It's true.
Yeah,
and there's so much anger as well.
So let me explain this. We all went to a dinner. We go with friends. That dinner was a bit outrageous. I don't know if we say this, but it was a little bit more than much more than what I would spend. Okay, but we had something to celebrate. We were 8 friends around the table. We had a very good evening, and I took a salad, a main dish. That night I didn't drink. It happens sometimes. I didn't drink. I had sparkling water, no dessert, no mocktail, no cocktails, nothing, no Grand Cru, nothing. Okay? And here comes what we call in French la douloureuse. It comes what you need to pay. How do we say it in English? The bill. And it comes, and you have somebody saying, oh, we're going to divide it in 8. So I was like, okay, we're going to divide in 8. Let me calculate how much it cost me. And actually, altogether, without thinking of the waiter yet, it was costing me 95 Swiss francs. Okay? And I had to pay 340 Swiss francs. I was like, what the hell is this? And that's actually a behavior. It's about money, but it's not really about money. It's actually about the relationship you have with money. And I started to observe. And I'm like, okay. And there is a study very interesting about this that I'm mentioning into my newsletter. You have 4 types of profile in this. You have the one that is like, okay, you take immediately the credit card, you pay. You don't want anyone to have the feeling that you could not pay. So think of it. Why would you have that way of thinking? It means that, in fact, the way people are looking at you is actually looking deep into you, much more than what you think. Okay, that's the first profile. Second profile, me. I calculated. It costed me 95 francs. I'm going to pay for that. Okay, that was a nice moment. But still, that was expensive.
I loved how in the newsletter you put like the reflection was like, am I paying for my friends to have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of my friends had lobster.
Smart guy.
Yeah, smart guy.
All of his friends offered him.
And you know what? Actually, 80% of people, in general, when they know they are dining with friends, they are, for 80% of them, ordering more than what they would do. So next time, think of it. My salad, no, I shouldn't have taken this one. And then after, I could continue, but you have different profile, okay? The one that doesn't look anywhere, doesn't want to be seen. And then you have the one that want to pay more. So like this, everybody sees that he is wealthy enough. Finance Made Human is exactly about this. The awareness of your behaviors. Why do you do that with money? Think about it. Because the day you start to think of it, you will change the view you have on yourself and the view you have on money and why you have it. I'm sure you have other questions, so I will continue on this. But it was just to explain it on Finance Made Human. And then I have another thing that is, of course, I'm working on an app that will explain the relationship to money, so people could buy that app. It's not yet released. And then you could do it with you. If you want, you can share it with your partner. Your partner can share it with you. You can discuss few topics. So for instance, you have some profile about relationship to money that are together in life, but as money, they do not pair. So it means that when you're going to use a simple word related to money, you will have a definition and he or she will have another definition. And you, in fact, do not talk about the same topic. This type of thing can be discussed, but you don't see it in a bank because this is not about the bank. It's before. So this is the thing I'm working on, and very soon.
How long is this list? Wow.
No, that's the last one. I'm passionate about this topic because I see how much it changed life the day people understand it. And I'll come to it. So the last one is a book. I have a book that will come out on Amazon by the end of this month, and it's just a story of a woman, and you don't have to think of anything. I'm not teaching you anything. I'm just asking you to read that story, and you will find yourself in different behaviors, financial behaviors.
It will be an honor to read this book.
Thank you.
And I love the name of it, Finance Made Human. I think every initiative you're working on this is perfectly described by this, 2 words which we don't often hear together.
Exactly.
So great job. So this is amazing. Now I think we know what you did as an entrepreneur before, what you're working on now. And because we have mostly entrepreneurs listening to our story, and there is one thing which I think all entrepreneurs and founders relate to, is that when it's in the beginning, in the start, a lot of people from around us say to those starting founders, oh my God, this is crazy. You think this is going to work? Go back to your day job. This is too risky.
It will never work.
Yeah, the market is already saturated. It's a nice idea. I mean, good luck, but I don't think so. And what we learned from people around is that this approach actually happens much more often from the people around than hearing, go for it, you can do this, you can make it happen, I'm here to support you. So I wanted to ask you, what is your experience with this, creating Alpine Bank and now working, and SheWealth as well, and working on Finance Made Human? And if you had to deal with this societal pressure, and on top of it, with the pressure of your own, knowing that it actually might not work out. So did you experience this, and how did you deal with it?
So many times. It's a great question. In fact, when they are telling you don't do it,
They're jealous.
no, they're not talking about yourself. They're talking about themselves. This is what I came with, because they, in fact, honestly, I don't think it's an advice. I think it's a request from them. It's like you showing them exactly where they didn't continue, they didn't pursue, where they should have gone with their own ideas. Or, so you show them this. It's a reflection that that's my point of view. Huh? It's a reflection that you get. You give them a reflection on themselves. And I had a lot of people that really love that told me this. Well, very few, because I didn't say it to everyone, but and I really reflected, because I was like, they're not mean, they're nice people to me, so why do they say this? And when I started to look at it,
What did they tell you? Example, like what did you hear when you shared this? Like,
are you nuts?
Yeah, okay.
Are you nuts? I had one telling me, why do you want to create a bank? Don't you think we have enough banks in Europe? Because it's a person that is not in Switzerland. Don't you think we have enough banking? So not the same culture. We don't have the same, I would say, meaning even of a bank. And she was not mean to me. It was really a nice person having a really good reflection. And she's like, I don't get it. I really don't understand it. I was like, and while I was trying to convince her, I was like, what are you doing? Why do you try to convince someone that this will never be a client? And it's definitely not the person that will come into the bank. That is not, yeah. And I was like, so finally, over time, I didn't share it much.
Okay.
So what are you working on? I was saying I'm working on digital transformation for a private bank. Oh, okay. And you go to the next discussion.
Because you received so many pushback and people were telling
Not so many, but some people around me. And I was like, okay. I told my family is really not into finance. And they were like, you creating what? A bank? Okay. Okay, we support you. Okay, good. Wow.
I love this.
It's gonna be a long journey. Are you ready for this? Yeah. And they were like very supportive. They're like, okay, how is it going? Sometimes I was explaining things, like didn't get anything, but they supported me. I mean, my family.
So I remember, Marion, when we talked once before, you told me that you didn't even share that you're building a bank with one of your closest friends. I don't know if it was a best friend or one of your closest friends. This really stuck with me because, again, everybody sees the success stories on the social media, but to deal with something so big and working on something so incredible and not be able to even share it with our closest friends is very difficult, and to deal with this pushback from society around. So I think you kind of answered why you didn't share it, but maybe can you tell us a bit more of how do you advise to founders and entrepreneurs around how they should face these situations, and if you think they should keep it more for themselves or how they should react to this for themselves to survive it?
I had a discussion with that person many years after. I said, can we come back to the discussion that we had? The person was very surprised, and it was very open. And she apologized because she said, I didn't mean it this way, but I took it this way. And not exactly the same way as you perceive it and so on. I mean, honestly, I didn't look for the permission of anyone. That's the point. And you will always find excuse when you are in the journey of being an entrepreneur and so on. You will only fool yourself, not the others. Go for it. And if you fail, okay, fine. So
it's a learning.
It's a learning, yeah, of course. And I think the society, especially in Europe now, is changing on this. They don't see it as a failure. I think they see it as an experience. I think it's evolving.
Slowly.
Yeah, I think it's
Evolution
evolving.
is a good
we
word,
come
probably.
from far. I mean,
we come from far.
We're not yet to the level of United States where you need to have failures to be coming in the company. But still now, people are open and like, oh, you had that failure. Can we talk about it? We never had that questions many years ago.
True.
So it's changing.
Mhm.
And since many people
important,
want to be
I
an
think.
entrepreneur as well, I don't think it's a nice or sexy life. It's a complicated one. It's a risky one.
It's tough, emotionally difficult too. Yeah.
From 0 to 1, you raised 140 million Swiss francs. How was this journey? We want to know everything about it.
How did you do it?
You're going to be disappointed because I'm going to switch a little bit on this. So I'm not going to retell the story. I can't. There are lots of confidentiality on this and we can't. So, and I'm looking at my notes because I want this to be really well said from me. So I pivot to what that has enlightened me at that time. I read a study that I found very interesting about hundreds of pitches, equal conditions, same projects, same stage, and the questions were not the same to men and to women. So I'm asking in the assistants, what do you think was the difference? What were the questions? Any idea?
That's this.
I heard of this that men are asked questions about their potential, dream, and vision, and women have been asked what was their experience, performance, and what was already proven.
Or like what can go wrong? The risky part.
Exactly. So men were asked about the growth, and women were asked about prevention.
What happens if this project fails?
And that's why I wanted to read my notes, because here that question to men: how far do you want to go? How much do you expect to make? What's the ambition? And to women, how will you avoid losing? What are the risks? How will you protect yourself? So that's why I'm pivoting a little bit the question, because I think it's not important. It was great. Having a lot of amount to fulfill what you want, you need always a lot of money to co-create a bank. But that's not the point. The point is that, okay, how do we change the situation to allow more women to be able to raise? I mean, we're in 2026. I'm surprised we are still dealing with these things. We should not even talk about it. I'm talking about it because we need to have a change. Next time anyone is a business angel, anyone you see a VC and so on, you hear the question as a woman, if you have one, answer to the question as if it was meant to be for men. That's it. End of the story. You go for growth. You go with and it's a learning. You do, okay, yeah, very good question. So answer to blah, and about the growth. We think.
And this is also reflected in the numbers. In 2024 alone, only 1% of venture capital funding went to only women-led startups, 11% to mixed teams, and 88% to male founders. So it's definitely a system that we need to change. But now, if you have a woman in front of you, founder who's raising, what's the advice you would give her?
Exactly the one I just gave. Really change the questions. You need to always
Project
think
your
about
growth.
Yeah, about horizons.
Okay.
Always keep this, like, it needs to be in your mind. Okay, the question has been this one, answer to it, and then come to the horizons. Become like super good at managing these type of questions. You need to learn. It's a learning. You can learn that. So if you're not good, take some coaching moments as if you were in front of a media. How do I turn the questions in that sense? And so you can do it.
I think one of the big things also for women is confidence. At least from some statistics I've seen is that when they ask men if they feel they would be a great entrepreneur and founder, 70% of men felt like yes, of course, and only 30% or something like this of women said yes. So I think, and I struggle with confidence too, although a lot of people don't think, and they think I'm very confident. But I think advice is fake it till you make it. From my perspective, just be confident and eventually you will be confident. And I think that also helps a lot because men are naturally a bit more confident than women.
I agree with you, and I love the studies and this type of explanation because it gives an image to people. It's exactly the thing about the job You look for a job and you look at the men across all the requests and not you as a woman. No, you do. Go for it. Have a talk, discuss it. Because if since day one you don't say yes, you will not have the appointment with the interviewer and so on. And that's exactly the same when you want to raise funds. So push as much as you can. If you don't feel confident talking, take courses. Because I think it's about confidence as well, of talking.
I'm going to switch to something in a nature of combination of something work-related and also personal-related. You founded an initiative which is called SheWealth during your time in Alpian Bank. And because you and I talked before, I know this was a very personal project to you. Can you tell us a bit more about what SheWealth is and what inspired you to start it, and why was this a personal project to you?
So, in fact, since we are a bank, we are numbers. So you try to scratch and understand what you have behind every number. So I have, at the beginning, so in 2022, we only had 16% of women as clients. I was, why? So I came to our chief marketing officer, Roman, and I said, Roman, I think something is wrong with our corporate identity because it's very black, very, very chic, but maybe it was too much for men. This is what I thought. And he said, don't you dare say anything about the brand. The brand is great. It has nothing to do with my colors. And he was right. But at that time, but we started to try to understand. And very fast, we had Olga Miller, so from Smart Purse, that came. She's a specialist on it for women empowerment. And she started to show me few, I would say, figures, statistics, and so on. And I couldn't believe the difference we had between men and women. And it's not about the gender. It has nothing to do. It's about how we function. Okay. And I was like, oh my, we really need to push the ladies because they don't feel confident enough to talk about money and so on. Then I thought about, okay, I'm thinking of me. Yeah, that's true. The day I went in front of a banker, I was with my ex-husband, and we will come to the ex-husband. And we interacted with the banker, and the banker was not looking at me, not even once. I'm 44, so I was very young. Okay, I look young. I never had any issue questioning or asking questions that seems numb. I don't care. I don't care what people think. And the more I get older, the more I really don't care, because I think the stupid questions are in general the most interesting one. And then we discussed about many things. He used words I could not understand. I was like, okay, he talked about this and then this and this, and I was lost.
Okay, different language for you.
A different language. And I understood. I was like, okay, so that's why SheWealth came to life, because we wanted to empower women that didn't have the space to be in a place where they had no judgment. Why do you need to be judged by someone you don't know, especially on your numbers? I don't want to be judged on money. Money is it's the topic that we don't talk about. You can talk about sexuality, you can talk about your holidays, you can talk about anything, but you can't talk about money. We don't talk about salaries. We don't talk about how much you save. No, it's taboo. It's taboo because it comes to the value of yourself. But this sentence, it took me 44 years to come to it. Because it comes to how much do I worth? Because it comes to many things. So to come back to SheWealth, I was like, okay, a place where they can learn. So they have an educational part on any topics, any subject. They are not being judged and they are being explained. Simple elements. Finance is super easy. Personal finance is super easy. So we co-created the three of us with Roman Balzan, Chief Marketing Officer of Alpian, Olga Miller, the CEO of Smart Purse, and myself. We co-created SheWealth, and we were supported by Alpian and by Smart Purse. And that was an initiative to really empower women and to push them to get to know them. I give you also an example. When you retire, none of us will have enough money if you didn't create a third pillar in advance, or if you didn't do savings and you didn't do some investment and so on. None of us, 60%, if you had no interruptions, so no military services for the men, no
Sabbatical.
sabbatical years, no births for the women and so on. And it's never a discussion you have with your partner, because you should rebalance this when you do it. Okay, I stay home because I want to stay and raise the kids. Okay, so every month, please rebalance what I'm not having. I have no issue talking about it. But when I come with this, they're like, what a topic. Yeah, but at the end, it's complicated. And now I come to what I mean ex-husband. I divorced. And I came to, and actually, when I came with this 16%, I was divorcing at the same time. It was great for me to be able to put my future head of divorced woman on the side, work only at the office, and do not treat this at all. Was it tough? Extremely tough. But at the time you divorce, you need to talk about money. Because were you prepared for that? No. Even though I'm in finance, I was not prepared for that. And I had the chance to be working on SheWealth. It has helped me much more than what I thought. So out of sorry for the word, a shitty situation, something very nice went out. And it's very often how something comes to life. And that's why when we discuss, I say, but actually SheWealth is existing thanks to it, because one day I put this on the side, I was like, okay, let's take this number. And I had more time to dedicate, not getting into the divorce element. It has helped me a lot.
And help to so many other women to understand how finance works. And
and then I discovered things like LPP is divided in two when you divorce. Okay, are you ready for that? Why is it happening? Did you know? We never talked about this with my ex-husband. And it's not, he was not meaning bad, I was not meaning bad, both of us. It's just that we didn't know. I could use other elements. The day you have a partner, your partner dies or you die, have you prepared things? I know my questions are the one that people don't like.
No, but who's going to talk about it then, right? And it's existent. It's here. But, I love hearing this all. I love that you took pain and turn it into purpose. And I think sometimes when we're stuck in a pain, we're just spinning in this pain. And this, I hope it will serve to people, entrepreneurs who are going through something difficult and non-entrepreneurs, whether it's in their personal or work life, that this is an amazing example of how pain can be turned into something purposeful, actually help so many other people around and yourself as well. So thank you for sharing this. As I said, we are super thankful to have here on our Sisterpreneurs Talk women who are able to share really raw, unfiltered journeys. So thank you for sharing this with us, Marion.
I do have a question about this dark moment. Was it the toughest moment of your life? First question.
Yeah.
And second question is, let's imagine it's a dark tunnel. How did you get finally out of it? And when was the moment you looked back and you're like, okay, now it's over?
Okay, I read a lot, like, massively. And if I have time, I'm listening to book I want to read with Audible. So I'm doing both, reading and listening to books all the time.
At the same time?
No, I can. So for instance, I came with my car, and in the car, I was listening to a book. Someone was reading it for me. Audible allows you to do this. And then I read when I have time. So I read a lot. Anytime you have a change in your life, you go through a change curve. In general, it's when you have a death in your family, you mourn. Mourn. Okay, it's the mourn.
The
curve.
grief, the mourn.
The grief, yeah. Mm-hmm. Grief curve, I would say. And you go throughout different steps. They are exactly the same steps for anything that happens in your life. So first you're shocked, then you're very sad, then you go through different steps. I was looking at that curve all the time. I was okay, I'm here. Yeah. Okay, and I was like, okay, what does it take to go to here and
back to the top?
Yeah, and it has helped me a lot because I was actually aware of my situation. I was like, okay, I'm not sad anymore. I'm unhappy. I'm
Angry.
furious. I'm angry, so on. And that's how you evolve.
So you got yourself out of the bubble by projecting basically something, but that's very smart.
And I'm doing it in anything that is happening in my life, because of my darkest moment, I had plenty. Honestly, I don't think we have only one. For sure, divorce is one, because you didn't succeed in something. But I had 3 fantastic children. I still believe it's quite an accomplishment. Honestly, very proud of it. So, but it has took me years to come to this. At the moment, you don't think this way. I'm like, somebody told me, oh, but how do you deal with it's still, you fail. I was like, 20 years with the same man is failing. It's actually
That's
something
good.
nice. So that's how I see it. And I use it all the time. And now I go very fast
Okay.
when something happens. And people are like, how do you deal with this? Yeah, I don't like the part that is negative. I prefer the part that is after. So that's why I push.
Great.
About speed and fast. I wanted to talk about something personal as well. There is a study from McKinsey that says that all the C-level women in the US are actually pro athletes, either marathon or trail runners. It's crazy. And as an ex-athlete myself, I could see that high achievers, they do a lot of sports. So are you a sport person? I mean, I already know the answer, but but we want to know about your biggest achievement in your sports life.
Whew. Yes, I do a lot of sports. I couldn't do it without any sports. I need to do every day. I'm a big swimmer. I'm doing Pilates mixed with gym every day with a boho beautiful. It's on your phone. You have no excuse after 30 minutes every day. And yes, as achievements, so I did a lot of competition. Ski competition was when I was younger, and I did the Patrouille des Glaciers, the small one, not the big one.
So just to give an idea, Patrouille des Glaciers is the haute route that goes from...
So Arola to Verbier for the small one, and the big one is from Zermatt to Verbier. Me, I did Arola to Verbier.
You
which
go
was
on
enough.
skis from this
So
one
you
place
do
to
a
another.
cross skiing. So you have to climb. Me, I'm a good skier when you go down. Okay? And then
Normally, ski, you go down.
you ski down. Yeah, exactly. But Patrouille des Glaciers, in fact, it was invented by the Swiss militaries. Okay? It was to prepare their team for the seasons and so on. And then they open it to civils. So I was able to do it, I would say, many years ago. You're a team of 3. So we prepared. The preparation is fantastic because you sleep in the mountains, you come with your ski, and you learn how to climb. It's really not the same breath than when you ski down, okay? So I'm not, I can be very good if we need to go up, but if I compare myself to these specialists, I'm really not good. But just to give you an example, when we were climbing, we were going down, we were passing by 20...
It's during night, no?
It depends. We believe we were not going to do a very good result.
So you started during the day.
You start very early.
Okay.
So like this, you have more time. Unfortunately, during the competition, one of us suffered from hypoxia. So we had to carry his bag because you're 3. You can't finish by 2. You need to be 3. So we had to carry his bag.
Hypoxia is too little oxygen.
Yeah. And he couldn't breathe anytime we were crossing 2,500 square meters. So it's much higher. So we had to carry his bag. You're not ready for that. We had to carry his skis.
You're not ready for that.
You're not ready for that. I remember I was on the top of a hill, a mountain, arriving there. And the military do the things very well in Switzerland. It's quite amazing. They have done all the little steps you need to have into the snow. And I arrived there. It was so intense having to carry. Me, I was only carrying the skis. The person we were with was carrying the 2 bags. I don't know if you can imagine how much it was. We were arriving there. I was crying like a baby. And people were like, but you're going to make it. I knew I was making it, but it was so intense. I could not refrain my tears. I was like crying like a baby.
Do you think this mindset of non-stopping, seeing an obstacle and just going forward, but also being able to being with a team. Like you're not leaving anyone behind. Do you think this helped you in your entrepreneurial journey?
Yes, for sure. It was very tough because how many times in my head I was like, we could leave him on the side and continue and just finish.
You can.
I thought about it. Honestly, I thought about it because I just wanted, it was not for the pride of, I wanted to finish. Honestly, I was like, but there is no meaning of doing this. And okay, so yes, but it has more nuances to what you're saying. But for sure, you need to have the energy and the will to continue, because when you get no everywhere, when you're an entrepreneur and you fail a thousand times and you need a little bit of force inside yourself to say, oh, I need to to stand up once more. Tough. I'm not going to tell you, I would lie to say no. I mean, some nights you take off your super woman, costume and you're like, I'm going to do this. How I'm going to make it happen? How are we going to make it? And actually, one day with my team, I said it out loud. And I said to them, honestly, I don't have the answer. The team was fantastic. They had the answers. They push. And that was great because it was really, it was, I was surprised because I was pushing. Nobody pushes you. You always push the others. You always pushes the team and nobody comes to you and say, well done. None. It's not well done. Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't have it all figured out then.
It's okay, but
a lot of it you need to.
It took me years to come to this. It took me years. Now I can say, I don't know. Today, not the right probably to ask me this. Maybe tomorrow. Sometimes you need to have a little bit of, to put yourself a little bit in a bubble. People come all the time to you, so you even have no time to reflect on things.
Mm-hmm. To guard yourself a bit too. Yeah. One of the other things which is also connected with all this emotional part of being an entrepreneur and fighting through things and going through this journey, which there's so many ups and downs, is and this applies in life and also in entrepreneurship, that unfortunately, and for some things fortunately, not everything is forever. And I see that in the world of entrepreneurship, it's also not always all forever. But somehow most of the founders or entrepreneurs we talk to, we see that they emotionally attach to their project on a level that this is the life calling, this is forever. They put all their energy, their emotions, sweat, tears, their personal life, everything in it. And then sometimes there is a moment where basically it's not a life calling and it ends, and there needs to be a moment of letting go. And I want to ask you, what's your perspective about this attachment, and how do you see this letting go moment? And maybe you can give some perspective from your side on this.
Many people came to me saying, but Marion, this is you. This bank is you. And I was like, no, this bank is not me. It's only a vehicle. There's plenty of ways of passing through your mission. And I don't think you have everything you could do through one vehicle. And this is what I explained a little bit before regarding Finance Made Human. You need to have several vehicles to be able to reach what you want to do. How do you reconcile people with money? And it's all about this, because there is a moment you need to cut. And I think that moment is very important, because if you fail, if the bank fails, does it mean that you're nothing anymore? No.
You did it.
So you're like, no. I mean, you democratize wealth management with Alpian. I'm very proud of it. We did it as a team, and I think it was fantastic. But I do not think this project is me. My mission remains in me. I want to continue what I do through different vehicle, but one vehicle is not defining me.
So what would you recommend to founders who maybe are now like, uh-oh, I am too emotionally attached to this? What would you say they should focus on? So in case this moment comes, it's a bit easier for them. It will never be easy, but what's your advice?
Figures. You always come back to figures. Okay, am I sufficiently good for this part of the job? Am I sufficiently in line with what I meant to me? They have to question themselves. It's a tough question. I don't have entirely the answer, honestly, Jennifer. I think it's not defining you. And I like to give this example. You have several hats in your life. You have the hat of your mother. As a mother, you have the hat of the entrepreneur. You have the hat of the sport person. You have the hat of the innovator. You have plenty in your life. And don't think a project is who defines yourself. It's none. It will never be. If you have been there, you're wrong. That's what I believe. It's a project.
Right. I think it's important, and I hope entrepreneurs are taking notes because it's usually the opposite happens, I think, in reality. So it's great to hear from someone who went through it and maybe have a chance to help ourselves a bit earlier on in the journey. So thank you for sharing this with us too.
Great. We're coming toward the end of the recording, and I would like to actually ask you one last question. This was not on the script, but it just came to my mind. So this podcast is really to give role models. I think this is very important to see that the people that we see up there, as we said at the beginning, there's ups and lows, etc. So thank you for sharing all your insights and thoughts again. Who was your role model? And how this person inspired you throughout your life?
There are few people, and it changed over time. So I had that question by the past, so I'm going to change it. I think my role model these days is my dad.
Wow, amazing.
And I'm going to explain. So my dad has lost his dad. He was 2 years old. And so imagine at that time, he's almost 80 years old, full of life, doing sports, really great shape, amazing. And he didn't have a dad. He didn't have the role model of a dad, but he's a fantastic dad. So first I'm like, wow, you don't have seen anything. I mean, you didn't have it yourself and you are able to give it. Whoa. So this notion of giving for me is quite amazing. And he says something that I love. He said, we had nothing. We were very poor. I didn't even have my room. My mother was trying to give me as much as she could. She has given me so much love that I was the richest from all my friends. So what do you mean? He said, well, so he's a doctor. He's a surgeon. And he said, I was with all of them at the university. Some of them were so poorly loved that I felt so much powerful than them. And it has drove me on anything I was doing. And I thought that was quite amazing to say
beautiful.
This. It's beautiful, no?
Yes.
And so since that, I'm like, I think my dad is really my role model. Of course, my mom, she's a fantastic as well entrepreneur. She's completely learned things over life. And there is a third one. So it's Rosa Parks. You know that lady that went into that bus, and as she was having a dark skin, she was supposed to be at the end of the bus, and she was tired from her day. Okay, maybe the story was a little bit made off. I don't care, but she was tired of her day. She came into the bus. She stayed at the front, and somebody said, "Stand up." No, that's where the change happens.
Thank you. I love it. Yeah. This is a perfect closure of the podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Honestly, beautiful. I feel this podcast was very beautiful. I feel this podcast was very intimate and very deep. I had goosebumps, I had tears, and I really appreciate it. And I hope listeners who are here with us today and those who are listening have felt it like we felt it today, have learned something from it and got inspired to go for what they want, but also manage how they go along the way. So that said, Marion, thank you so much for being here, sharing your story, and thank you for our listeners. And I think we can close our podcast and say until next time. Thank you.